Morning. I do give honor to God and Mr. Graham, to all of y'all. It's a blessing to be here. I'd like to read something before I pray if I'm allowed to. In Ephesians, the first chapter, it says in the 17th verse that, for the 16th verse, do not cease to give thanks for you, making mention of you in my prayers, that the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of glory, may give you the spirit of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of him, and the eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that you may know what is the hope of your calling, and what are the riches of glory in his inheritance. Then over in the third chapter, it says, for this reason I bow on my knees to the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, from whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named, that he would grant you according to his riches and his glory, to be strengthened with might through his spirit in the inner man, that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, that you be rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints, that is, the width and length and depth and height of his love. As I pray this morning, those are really my words of prayer for you all, that he will give you that wisdom and guidance direction today as you ponder over these decisions. Let us pray together. Father, we are thankful and privileged to be a part of this beautiful, gorgeous day that you've made. And you've given us the privilege to be a part of it. You've included us. Thank you for including us. Thank you that you woke us up this morning. You started us on our way. God, as we go through this day, first and foremost, we pray that you'll forgive us where we've come short, where we've missed the mark. And we pray even now that you would enlighten our eyes of understanding, that you would give Mrs. Calhoun, Mr. McQuaid, Mr. Graham, Mr. Greer, and Mr. Stokes the wisdom, the guidance, direction that they need to guide and make decisions concerning Hinds County. We do pray for the county and all its officials, that you would direct this meeting now as they ponder and as they make decisions, God, that you would direct their hearts and minds in every way. Bless us now, that we'll be reasonable and understanding in this meeting together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you for the honor.
Okay. Thank you very much, Supervisor Greer.
Many of you know Dan Gaillet, who was head of Public Works over in the city of Jackson. I'm sure a lot of you worked with him. His son Robert was in a terrible car accident yesterday. And so I wish that you would continue to pray for that family.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Calhoun.
Yes, sir. This morning we do start a brand new day in the Hinds County government. I consider us starting a brand new day. And I would just like to take this opportunity to welcome our newly elected supervisors, that's Supervisor Greer and Supervisor McFurter. They both bring different professions to Hinds County government. And I think those different perspectives, those different professions will be an asset to us. And I would just like for us to stand at this time and give them an applause.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And with that, I'd like to ask if either supervisor would like to say anything before we get started with the agenda. Supervisor McQuaid.
Thank you, and to Supervisor President Graham and Supervisor Calhoun for the words of encouragement that you have given. In the absence of my wife, I want y'all to let her know I bragged on her. That's my first sense of gesture on the board. So please feel free to let her know that if you ever see her, since I forgot to acknowledge her during our swearing in ceremony. But we are indeed humbled by the process in which we went through and the vote of confidence that the citizens of Hinds County has expressed in our abilities to serve on this board, and we look forward to doing the best that we can and looking out for the best interest of the citizens of Hinds County and the districts that I represent and that we all represent. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Greer.
I just want to say thank you to my wife Sharon, who is in the crowd today. She's right back here. But also to the voters in District 4. We had an overwhelming turnout, good strong support. I met a lot of good, wonderful people. And this county is a lot bigger than folks think it is. It is a big place. And I look forward to serving on this board. I hope that any expertise that I might have, I can bring to the table. I've had some good, strong discussions with other members of the board already, and I think that we can shape a new vision for the county. I look forward to serving. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we will start our agenda, public hearings, bid openings, service bins. Okay. While Mrs. Davis is coming, I'd like to just inform everyone in attendance that we are streaming live on the internet and that we have some very sensitive mics. I do this every board meeting to let you know that the mics are very sensitive in the building, so you might want to think about that in your conversations. And with that, Mrs. Davis.
Good morning, Mr. President, board members. I have the privilege to announce service award pins for county employees for their years of service with Hinds County. First on our list from the Public Works Department, we have Felix C. Hendrick. He has 5 years of service. I don't believe he's here today, but I'll make sure that Mr. Felix would receive that on his behalf. Next, from the Sheriff's Department, we have several employees from the Sheriff's Department with years of service. With 10 years of service, we have Eric Summerall and Mary Gainwell. With 5 years of service, we have Mark Ross, Lee Wilson, and Kevin O'Flaherty. From the Tax Collector's Office, we have Quentin Dixon. Is he here today? Oh, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Make sure you get the right hand. And for your 5 years of service, we, on behalf of Board of Supervisors, we appreciate you and look forward for many more. Thank you. And last on our list, from the Youth Court, we have Shirley Marshall with 10 years of service. Did she attend today? No? She's not here today, but I'll make sure she receives her pin.
Okay,
That
thank you very
concludes the
much.
pins, Mr. President.
Okay, above and beyond?
No, sir.
Okay. We'll now go to our elected officials. We notice Mrs. Connie Cochran, the election commissioner, is here. Mrs. Cochran, you have an issue that you'd like to inform us about? Good morning.
Good morning. Election is the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, yeah.
Here to inform you that we have a special election going to be held in the city of Clinton for Ward 2 to fill the unexpired term for Tony Greer.
Okay.
That will be held January 3rd and with the potential runoff of January 17th. We met with officials with the city of Clinton Friday and are in the discussions for developing a contract. Need permission to enter into a contract. Once that's formulated, we'll present it to legal for approval and for y'all's approval. So I need permission to enter into a contract for the city of Clinton.
Okay.
Also, the city of Jackson is going to be having a bond referendum to be held January 14th, and we will be part of that as well. We're meeting with them tomorrow to develop a contract and define the responsibilities. So I'll need permission to enter into a contract with them.
Okay.
Also, the issue of the new voting machines. Always in the past, when we've done elections with municipalities or special interests, we never have charged for the use of the machines. I just need to know if that would be the same policy that y'all would want to carry forth.
Okay. Well, let me do one thing. Let's go through the motions one by one. First of all, let's do away with the motion for the special election in Clinton. What's the pleasure of the board? Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Now we'll do the special election in Jackson. What's the pleasure of the board? Also move that we have the special election. This is for the referendum, right?
Correct, bond referendum.
Okay. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Now we'll need a third motion, and that is to continue, well, if we're going to continue the same process, do we need to really make a motion on it?
No, I don't know that that's necessary, I just need to
Right.
know that that's your,
I don't think anyone has expressed any desire to do anything any differently, so we'll just continue to do what we've always done.
okay,
Okay?
all right.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, Mr. Reed, I noticed came in. Mr. Reed, or do you have an issue separately?
Everything's in order.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. We'll continue on our printed agenda. We'll now go to the Sheriff Tyrone Lewis. Substitute for him will be Dana. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President, Board of Supervisors, how are y'all?
Good.
I'm here today before you for two matters. One is listed under our agenda, the other is listed under the EOC. We're kind of doing that in conjunction, but the Sheriff's Department will take the lead on that. The first one is the approval of acceptance of a donated dog kennel from Warren County. So free of charge, they want to give us one of those dog kennels for all the canines we have.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
The second thing up on your agenda can be found under the EOC heading. It's approval of the county fire inspector for our 2013-2014 year. We do this every year. The inspector in this case, the last two we had have since left the Sheriff's Department, so we had to appoint another one. It'll be Mr. Charles Robinson.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
I have copies of the form just for you all.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Okay?
That will be all. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now continue with our printed agenda. We'll now go to the approval of minutes.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. We have the minutes of October 22nd, October 31st, and November 4th, and we would like to have these approved pending receipt of executive session from the Board Attorney's Office.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? What's the pleasure of the board? I also move that we accept the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to?
Not voting.
Two not voting. We have two not voting, then motion fails on the approval of the minutes. Okay, continue on. All right.
Moving on to your,
Peter Tableton, Board Attorney.
Yes.
There were two in favor, two not voting. The motion would pass because they were not voting. They did not recuse or abstain, they're just not voting.
Okay.
So in that case, the motion on the minutes would pass.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. All right, continue on, please.
thank you very much. Moving on to your claims for this morning. Last week, the Chancery Clerk's Office presented each of you with a packet with today's claims information. The first item in that packet is a schedule of an interfund advance to be repaid. This is repaid to the General County Fund from the Law Enforcement Liaison Grant in the amount of $25,000. This advance was originally made on September 27th of 2012.
What's the pleasure of the board? What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second? I'll second it. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to?
Not voting.
Two not voting. Motion passes. Okay. Continue, please.
Thank you very much. The next item is also an interfund advance to be repaid again to the General County Fund from Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance Grant number 20.205, your highway planning grants. This advance is in the amount of $5,000, and this was from your Safe Routes to School grant.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
I think it's a transfer.
This is an advance that's repaid. For grants that are reimbursable, the board uses its general fund to advance money into that grant fund so that we can pay those bills as we await the reimbursement. When the reimbursement comes, then we turn around and pay the general fund back for those advances.
It's been moved. Is there a second? I'll second it. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? When not voting, motion passes. Okay.
Thank you very much. The next item in your packet is a schedule of an interfund transfer. This is a transfer to the Road Maintenance and Construction Fund from the Series 2007A Tax Exempt Bond Fund. This is in the amount of $25,000, and this is for the reimbursement to the Public Works Fund for resurfacing John F. Kennedy Drive, Phase 1, and this was done under Supervisor Hunter's term on the board.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? What's the pleasure of the board? What's the pleasure of the board? Motion dies for lack of a motion.
The next item is also an interfund transfer, again to the Road Maintenance and Construction Fund, again from the Series 2007A Tax Exempt GO Bond Fund. This is in the amount of $16,000, and this was reimbursement to Public Works for resurfacing the parking lot and walking trail at the town of Edwards.
What's the pleasure of the board? What is the pleasure of the board? What is the pleasure of the board? Motion dies for lack of a response.
Thank you very much.
Continue, please.
We have two special claims this morning. The first of those is to Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet. It is in the amount of $17,671, and this is for a 2014 vehicle for the maintenance department.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Aye. Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. The second special claim is to Waste Pro Jackson. It is in the amount of $181,589.63. This is your weekly, or your residential garbage collection for October.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
We have one claim that remains from the October 21st docket. It is claim number 85. It is to the Economic Development Authority. It is over $100,000. The total of that claim is $104,096.35, and we present that for your approval at this time.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Your claims this morning are claim numbers 623 through 815. The first claim of interest this morning is claim number 784 to Airwave Consultant Company in the amount of $67,075.71, and that is for your tower maintenance.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? I will so move. Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? Motion dies for a lack of a second. Continue, please.
Thank you very much. We have three claims over $100,000 this morning, and they are claim number 666 to Jackson Hinds Library System in the amount of $132,173 even, and that is their November allotment. Claim number 707 is to Bernini, Grantham, Grauer, and Hughes in the amount of $266,500 even. That is for 9 parcels, I think, for the Byron Clinton corridor right away. And claim number 808 is to Quality Choice Correction in the amount of $188,825, and that is for your October medical services for your detention centers.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. The last item in your packet were your grant claims for this morning. They do appear to be in order. The remaining, your claims are claim numbers 623 through 815, less claim numbers 666, 707, 784, and 808. These are all of the claims that are remaining, with the exclusion of those that have either passed or died for lack of second.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved, is there a second? I'll second, it's been moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to?
Not voting.
Two not voting, motion passes. Okay, continue please.
We have the order approving the claims portion of the minutes for today, November 18, 2013, for your approval.
What's the pleasure of the board? What is the pleasure of the board?
Those are past claims.
Pass claims.
This is to approve the section of the minutes that pertains to the claims so that we can actually release them. And they can be
everybody can get paid. Yeah,
So moved.
it's been moved, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Is that it?
That is it.
All right, we'll continue with the printed agenda. Under my name, we have one item for executive session. There's an opening on the Mississippi Planning Organization through CMPDD for a supervisor to serve on the MPO. And that is a very important position. We need one additional supervisor to serve in that particular capacity. So with that, I've talked with Mr. Clark Holmes, and he said that he would like to have that filled for his next meeting if it way possible. So I will now take nominations for that particular position. Mrs. Calhoun?
Yes, I would like to nominate Supervisor Tony Greer.
Okay. It's been moved, or is there any other nominations? Any other nominations? If there are no other nominations, then we will vote. All those in favor of?
Need a second.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Okay? We'll take up, congratulations. Did you get with Mr. Freeman so that you know what the next MPO meeting is for today? We'll continue our printed agenda. We'll now go to Mr., for the first time, Supervisor McQuater. I might get it mixed up. McQuater, McQuater.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Supervisor McQuater, go ahead.
Yes, I want to bring up on the agenda concerning Hinds County contracts, specifically relating to new contracts that are about to be entered and contracts that are coming up for renewals, that we take actions to hold those contracts until we had an opportunity to review them as new board members.
Okay, is that a motion?
I'm putting that in the form of a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that all contracts be held until they've been properly reviewed and brought back in front of the board by the board attorney's office. Been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Peter, you have that?
Yes, sir.
Good. Continue, please.
I have one other item on the agenda that it's not on the agenda, that I wanted to go back to, and that was that part I want you all to remind my wife of all of the wonderful things I said about her since she just walked in the back. It is on record now.
Okay. Well, we need to make sure we note that. I've been there, so you're not alone. Okay. Let's continue with our printed agenda. We'll now go to District 3, Supervisor Calhoun.
Thank you, Mr. President. This morning I have the item of immediate emergency management's line item appropriation for service maintenance contract, account number 001-2605544. During the budgeting process for fiscal years 2013 and 14, the EOC office requested to be given $64,000 for their line item budgeted under the contractual maintenance services category. However, the county administrator and the budget and finance office recommended that the EOC office be allocated $290,000 $166,720 for our new budget year, even though both offices only projected that the EOC department would need only about $33,000. I don't know why the offices recommended that the department be allocated $266,720. But I make a motion this morning to reduce that particular line item budget from the $266,720. And I would like for our interim EOC director to come up and make a justification on why the department requested $64,000. And if this board deems it necessary, then we move forward with allocating that amount. Otherwise, my motion will be to reduce that particular line item budget to $33,000.
Okay,
Mr. Perkins.
Good morning.
morning.
We originally requested $64,000. Out of this line item, we fix and maintain the outdoor warning sirens. We also pay for various radar systems that we use in the EOC and generator maintenance, anything like that. This year, we've spent, I believe, a little over $12,000 already out of that line. So we would request the original $64,000 that we asked for.
And so are you saying that the 33 was woefully inadequate? Woefully inadequate? That was originally recommended by the Budget and Finance Office.
And that's probably looking at what we spent last year, and it's hard to tell. Like I say, we've already spent $12,000 this year, and there's just some unknowns there.
Supervisor McQuater.
The items on that line item, exactly what all do they cover one more time on that specific line item?
Outdoor warning siren maintenance, generator maintenance on some of our generators that we have, radar systems, and there's
Subscription fees,
subscription fees for
our satellite radio.
satellite radios. That's right.
Well, I move that the board reduce the line item allocations, maintenance contractual services from the 226,720 to 64,000, which would be the actual amount that your department had requested earlier, and increase our general funds budget by $136,000. And I consider that a savings to the general funds budget.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes.
That revised budget on that line right now is $208,906.
Okay, so it would be,
Hold on, just one second.
Okay. So is that the total amount?
Yeah, instead of the 266 that Mrs. Councilman said was budgeted, it's
Okay.
only 208,906.
Ms. Woods?
And part of that is encumbrance from this year, so 200,000 was the new amount, and it became 64, I said it'd be 136 that we.
okay, so it is actually 136,
Reduce it by
36,000, right?
Okay. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second, I also have a question.
Second and a question. Go ahead, please.
Do you feel that the amount that you requested would adequately give you what you need in case of emergencies to address any additional problems with your sirens at this time?
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
Okay, I also have rescind previous action taken to create a Homeland Security Director's position, planners and compliance officer position. And let me just start with my comments on the planner. Let me say, it would be nice to have a planner to create Hinds County's landscape for the future providing we had hundreds of millions of dollars to actually implement such a plan coming from the planner. And I think to hire a planner at this time to develop planning strategies without funds would not be practical or prudent. And what we're trying to do right now is to protect the existing jobs of our employees. Hinds County does have a plan that's being developed for the coroner's land use. So we do have such a plan that will help us to have appropriate zonings for the violent crime coroner. Also, well, I'll just say we do have a plan. Also, we have a comprehensive plan that has been produced for Hinds County that consists of several elements in improving Hinds County's transportation, recreation, wastewater and wastewater needs, and there are several other elements that have been documented in the comprehensive plan. So it's not like we're sitting here not making any kind of plans for the future of Hinds County. Again, we do have a zoning plan for land use of our violent crime corridor, as well as a comprehensive plan that basically gives us which is basically a master plan that gives us some good directions for the future landscape of Hinds County. So I move, well, that's one position I'm asking that this board look at to rescind. As far as the Homeland Security Director, again, I'm asking that the board rescind that particular item on that particular position and the compliance officer position. I never did quite understand the purpose of the compliance officer's position, because that position can cover many areas of responsibilities, areas such as health, construction, banking, auditing, or what have you. So with the position created, it was not clearly defined as to what the job responsibilities would be. So my motion is to rescind action for creating a Homeland Security Director, Planner, and Compliance Office.
Okay, we'll take those separately. Once we get we'll go first with the compliance officer. It's been moved to rescind the compliance officer's position. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been second. Now, discussion. Supervisor Greer?
I have a question regarding all three. If we eliminate all three of these positions, what's the savings gonna be? What's the amount of money?
The savings will be, including fringes, would be $195,130, which I will make a motion to be placed back into our general funds budget. Now, if we move forward in rescinding the positions at $195,130 plus the $136,000, that would give us a total savings to our general funds budget of $331,130.
Okay, Supervisor McQuater?
It is my intent to support your recommendation. However, I am concerned, and I have expressed my desires that Hinds County is oftentimes, in the city of Jackson and surrounding community, is oftentimes shown in a negative light instead of a positive light. And it is one of my strong desires, whether through the comprehensive plan that is already in place or through a revision of the comprehensive plan, in which we can discuss at the work session perhaps, that we work directly on trying to portray and show the positive aspects of Hinds County as much as we can. We've got a lot going for us, but very seldom do we see it, realize it, and all of those things have a direct impact on the economic development and drawing businesses and bringing businesses to Hinds County. So whether we do that by revamping some of the existing services we have with the county administrator, and I have shared that with her, or we provide funding later on at a later date when we have the funds available to do it, hopefully in the near future, that we can bring this issue back as far as a public information officer or a planning position as well. But you do have my support on it.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Mrs. Calhoun, we can go to the
Yes,
next item.
and I share the same sentiments as Supervisor Porter, but I will say that we do have a branding process, and we've gone through the initial stage of our brand, where all members, where members of the Hinds County citizenry have participated in that branding process. It is the branding is a tool for Hinds County to market itself in a positive light. As a matter of fact, our tagline is Hinds County, a world of difference. And through that process, through the branding process, a website has been and they are continuing to develop a website in reference to our brand.
Okay, the next motion would be to rescind the Homeland Security position. What's the pleasure of the board? Excuse me, it's already been moved by Mrs. Calhoun. Is there a second? It's a second by Mr. Greer. Discussion? I'd like to discuss this particular item and this particular issue. I think that one of the things and the reason why we decided, or in fact, the reason why I put this particular item in the last year's budget is Hinds County has always been seen as a soft target. I think if you check with the FBI, Hinds County, the city of Jackson is also listed as a soft target. We have to start doing a little bit more to make sure that we protect the citizens of Hinds County. And by having someone to deal specifically with Homeland Security, I think it's a good way to get started as it relates to helping people to help and deal with this particular issue. I think that if you check with law enforcement or anyone else, they'll tell you that there are elements of the criminal activity that's moving into Hinds County that are already here that's very undesirable. And I don't want to go any further than that. But if you were to check with the Department of Homeland Security, then you'll find out exactly what I'm talking about. I'd just like to register that and let it be noted through the record. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Aye. Motion passes. I'm voting aye. The next issue would be the, what?
Yes, sir.
The planner? Okay. It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Okay. Mrs. Calhoun, continue.
We took care of all three of those positions, planner, Homeland Security Director, and compliance officer. I move that we receive action taken courteously to create a compliance officer.
That was the first one we did.
Oh, okay.
So you take care of all three of them?
Yeah. It's all in my one motion. Okay. My next item is the approval of $90,000 from the 207 bond funds designated for recreation purposes to construct a community center for the Willowwood community. Back in the beginning of this year, the board approved requesting the Secretary of State's office to convey 2 acres of state-owned land located in the Willowwood subdivision for a walking trail to build a community center. In getting estimates for the construction of the community center and the center to be constructed in District 3, I realized that I did not have sufficient funds for the project. And so I'm requesting this morning that from the 207 bond funds, that some of the remaining dollars that are left there for $90,000 be approved for the construction of a community center in Willowwood Way. And let me just say right now. I'm not talking about any of the Byron Clinton Corners funds. I'm talking about funds from the bonds that were issued back in 2007. And part of the issuance dealt with specification for recreational items. So I'm asking for those funds to be moved for the purpose of constructing a community center. Now, without having sufficient funds, I knew and I was determined that the center would be built for the community because the center will represent, well, actually, will be adjacent to two other communities, and that's the Cedar Hills communities and the Carriage Hills community, which are Supervisor Greer now in District 4 due to redistricting. But because I did not have sufficient funds, I knew I had to think outside of the box. So what I did, I contacted the Sheriff's Department to request the assistance of their artisans or their skilled craftsmen to help me get the center constructed. Likewise, I contacted Hinds Community College to ask for the schools, to ask for the institutions assistance. Some people don't know, but Hinds Community College has a VOTEC school that consists of an architectural, structural, building, and electrical programs. And I think there's one more. But anyway, they have the capabilities of assisting Hinds County in getting, along with the Sheriff's Department, in getting the community center constructed. I'm very proud of this project and very excited. And this project would be one of the first for Hinds County, actually a pilot program for Hinds County. So I'm excited again about the partnership that Hinds County will be developing with the Hinds Community College as well as the Sheriff's Department. So I move that the $90,000 be transferred over, well, I don't know exactly where the funds that I'm talking to the board attorney, but I'm moving that we enter into an interlocal agreement with Hinds Community College for the purpose of allowing the school to construct a community center for the Hinds County Board of Supervisors.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Discussion, Supervisor McQuater.
Yes, until I become familiar with the different funds, 2007 bond fund exactly. Is that each supervisor get a portion of that or something, or how does that work?
Mrs. Woods.
All of the other issues are exhausted except Supervisor.
So I've already spent mine.
Yeah.
Someone submitted for you. And the expenditures are appropriate.
All right, it's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Nay. Motion passes. Continue, please.
My second motion is to approve the $90,000 from the 2,000 funds for the construction of Willowwood for the Willowwood Community Center. And the board attorney will work out the financial transactions. I don't know exactly how they will be, but the board attorney will work with our finance office.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Nay. Motion passes. Continue, please.
I believe that's it.
All right, we'll now go to,
Executive session.
okay, we'll now go to Supervisor Greer from District 4.
Thank you. It's just not to distant past, but some money was transferred out of the 2007 bond funds over into paving and parks and recreation. I would like to suggest that we reprioritize some of that money and our spending pattern. Currently, we're under a court mandate to make repairs at the detention center, 5A and B specifically. this needs to rise to a higher level of priority on our list of projects. The other concern that I have is that we have enough money in the Clinton Viral Corridor project to make the matching payments for the next phase of that project. So with those concerns, subject to review and approval by the legal team to do so, and that no proceeds are to be spent that were transferred over previously until further vote of the board, that we transfer money out of Parks and Recreation and paving and street repairs previously allocated to the Clinton Viral Corridor project in the amount of $3,153,000. Reallocate the money to the Clinton Viral Parkway project in the amount of $2,153,000, and that's a deviation from what was on the agenda. The amount is actually $2,153,000. And $1 million for improvements to the detention center. My hope that we can get on track with the detention center, that we can start these repairs. I have been through the detention center top to bottom. I've met with the sheriff. There are some significant savings that we can find along the way when we start bidding out some of the work that needs to be done over there. I think that this would be a good start to getting those things done so that we can, once and for all, get this project behind us so we can move on to the business of crime prevention as opposed to worrying about where to put these people when they do commit crimes. So that's my motion.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Discussion? Ms. Calhoun?
Yes, sir, I support the motion that's been made to transfer the funds from the 2010. But one of the things that I wanted to say that one of the misnomers is the perception that the corridor is about Byram and Clinton, and that the bond funds are going directly to Byram and Clinton. That is not so. The funds are actually going to the construction of a road that will initiate at I-55 South and will travel 18 miles to the Clinton Norrill Road, Bolton interchange. None of the funds will go specifically to any cities along that route. And it is my hope that when we get the first segment bill, that this board will come back and name the port, officially name the corridor, and hopefully name the corridor after two of our congressional members that were very instrumental in helping Hinds County to acquire funds for the project. Right now, the corridor is just labeled, not officially named, Byram Clinton. With that, I guess that's it basically. But the intent of the project is to improve energy efficiency, transportation, energy efficiency, as well as promote economic development in Hinds County.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
The next item that I have is in regards to board leadership. Every new administration, and this is a new administration, should have the opportunity to select its leadership. The board president and vice president positions are honorary positions and should be routinely shared by each district on the board on an annual basis. Crafting a new policy would show the public that we value the strength of each district and that the honor of the positions will be shared accordingly. So with that, I make a motion to direct the legal team to research and draft a policy that complies with state law for the effective rotation of board leadership.
Second.
The board, one other point, the board should expect a recommendation prior to or on the first meeting in January.
Okay, it's been moved and I will second it. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
The last item is not one that requires action. I'm just spreading on the minutes the fact that I have, I'm going to be sharing an office with Judge Skinner on the courthouse over here. So I don't think that it requires any action.
Okay, Mrs. Davis. We'll now go to the county administrator. We're moving right along here. We're just having loads of fun. Go ahead, please.
First item on the county administrator is the consideration of one unclaimed body for your approval.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you. Next we have Mr. Dan Gibson, our risk consultant, management consultant, with 2 items for your consideration.
Okay. Mr. Gibson, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President, honorable members of the board, and I want to welcome and congratulate Supervisor McWhorter, Supervisor Greer. Looking forward to working with you. I have before you today 2 items. The first item is the approval to renew the public officials liability policy effective November 29th. Supervisors, just for your benefit, I did leave for you this morning a schedule of all the policies that are in place for Hinds County, and these policies renew at various times of the year, and one of my jobs is to oversee the renewal process and to work with the agents. I am paid a consulting fee. I am not allowed to participate in the commission on these policies, and therefore I try to be the objective person to make sure that Hinds County is treated fairly and competitively. And we have, over the years, managed this public officials policy to the best of our ability in light of various claims and in light of the fact that we are with a company that also insures the detention center. Because of that, the company tends to look at all of the policies they have for Hinds County as a whole. And it makes it difficult for us, frankly, to negotiate with them because they know that there are few carriers out there that want some of the risk that we carry in Hinds County. We, however, still shop. And this year we shopped through several different agencies as requested by various members of the board. And we were able to get, in addition to renewal offer, one competitive offer from another company. This alternate quote came from Western World Insurance Group. It was in the amount of $92,569, which would have represented a slight increase over this year's premium of $91,000.
Okay.
In studying that quote, however, and in consulting with the county's board attorney, Mr. Thwaison, we, and I know I pronounced that correctly or incorrectly, didn't I?
Like Mr. McWhorter, it's okay.
But I will say, Mr. Peter is a wonderful man to work with. And we went through these and we agreed that this was not a good quote for the county. It was not good coverage that could be compared. It was a good policy, but it could not be compared to the policy with JWF in that there were various exclusions, and especially because the limit of insurance, $1 million, did not, it included defense costs. In other words, if you had a claim, the defense cost for defending that claim would be counted as part of the $1 million policy limit. Currently with JWF, defense costs are outside of the limit. In other words, they will pay whatever the settlement is or the ruling is, judgment, but they'll also pay defense costs above the $1 million.
Okay, so what is your recommendation?
So our recommendation is that we stay with JWF. We did apply pressure on them in view of this other quote, and their original bid would have been higher. We were able to get it down to below $100,000, $96,211, but that does represent an increase over the current year of $4,718.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Okay, continue, please.
And it is also the practice of the board to determine who the agent of record is on a separate motion. The agent of record on this policy has, for many years, been Mrs. Galia Porter, and I'm happy to recognize Ms. Porter here. I enjoy working with her. But that is a decision you make.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
And I want to say this, just because I have an opportunity to say it,
Okay,
I enjoy working with Ms. Porter.
okay.
She is a very professional person, does anything we ask her to do. And I have somewhere I'm going with this, Ms. Porter, and this is why I'm saying this. I want to make you aware that Ms. Davis and I had a discussion Friday. And I understand that Mr. Henry King has left the county. And I enjoyed working with Mr. King for a number of years. And I know Mr. King was the main person who received insurance claims as they occurred. I talked to Ms. Davis about this and also Mr. Bryant, and I would like to assure you that that service will continue and that I'll be happy to oversee that. And in doing that, I'm going to be calling on our agents to earn their keep. I have thought for many years that we should be utilizing our agents more than we have in filing claims and managing claims. And so I intend to be your point person to make that process happen.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else?
The second item that I have for you this morning is the approval to settle a claim on a 2009 Dodge Charger. This Dodge Charger was actually totaled by Zurich, and it was totaled because of hail damage. And it is my understanding, actually no, I'm confusing with another vehicle. I'm very sorry. This vehicle was actually totaled due to an accident, and this item is going to be returned to the company. And Greta, do you have the closing statement on that? For some reason, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you. I'm very sorry. Mr. President, you've moved the board meeting along a lot faster this morning than I'm used to, and I should have pulled this up on my computer. I thought I had it.
Okay.
This is a collision claim. The Charger was a total loss. The actual cash value determined by the company was $11,413. Once taxes and deductible and fees are considered, the county ends up receiving $11,231.91. And we need you to approve that as a settlement on the claim.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Okay, continue, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, members of the board.
All right, Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Next, we do not have any items under personnel or human capital development department. We do have one under purchasing, and Mrs. House will present to you one item for your consideration.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President, fellow board members. This morning, the Hinds County Raymond Courthouse Cupola Restoration Repair Project solicited one bid this came from Historic Renovations of Yazoo City in the amount of $120,000. The maintenance department recommends this particular company to receive this reward. The reason being they met all the specifications that they needed. Plus also this is being paid for by Factory Mutual Insurance. It was a claim that they did for the hail damage back in October. And this is just part of the claim. This is just part of it. So they want to recommend this company to do part of the work for $120,000.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you. Next, we have this.
Good morning, Mr. President, Board of Supervisors. We will get since the board approved it just then, we will get the contract documents together for the board attorney's review. And then once the contract is signed off, we'll look at 100 and some days to end, completing the project.
While you're up here, would you mind giving us an update on the roof leak and rain?
We had a hot water line for the heating system to bust in the attic. We did get the water cut off. We are backing the water up, and we have Servpro coming out to assist us with the dehumidifiers and other items that we're going to need to get the water out. But we're looking at today and tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Davis. Continue.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Lily Wallace, budget amendments for your consideration.
Okay. Morning.
Morning, President Graham and members of the board. I have two items, in fact. One is the budget amendments for today, November 18. These amendments represent departmental requests to transfer funds based on the explanations provided with each amendment in compliance with GASB 34. In addition, there's one amendment that impacted general funds unappropriated surplus totaling $19,598. This amendment is for the jail assessment related to the grand jury finding. Ask your approval on these amendments.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Secondly, as a part of our fiscal year 2013 audit, the county is required to meet the requirements of the Governmental Accounting Standards Board by implementing several GASB standards. GASB 45, which is the other post-employment benefits. We are also required to have arbitrage rebate computation, as well as GASB 53. I've sent these agreements to you via email. I hope you've had a chance to review them. I don't know if you have or not, but we did send these out to you. We have also like to request, and we've also discussed them with the county's attorney, and we'd like to request to go ahead and implement the agreements using the same companies that we used in the past, which would be Bryant, Pendleton, Swap, and McAllister for GASB 45 at a cost not to exceed $9,500. We like this time we have to get an arbitrage on the 2010 bond at a cost of $3,000 using Amtech, and GASB 53 reactive at a cost of $3,000.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion. Supervisor Greer.
The last item, the $3,000 item related to the interest rate swaps that we had.
Yes.
Is that so that the value in those investments?
Yes, sir. As of 9/30/13.
Those are complicated instruments. I would appreciate it if we could look at what it would take to get out of those instruments.
And I think Mr. Bingham is here in the audience. He probably can answer some questions
I
about
would like
that.
our attorney, Peter, to also be involved in that. Just to look at what would be involved, if there's any fees involved in exiting those.
Okay.
Sure will.
It's been moved and properly.
I'm not making that in form of motion, but I did make the motion to approve.
Okay. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Okay. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you. I believe that is all under county administrator, with the exception of 2-minute insertions. However, no action is required by the board. Thank you.
Okay. Continuing the printed agenda, we'll now go to the office of the board attorney, Peter Tweeson. Morning.
Good morning again. I have three matters today. The first is we have some outstanding invoices that are due to Ron Welch. For the new members of the Board of Supervisors, Ron Welch is a court-appointed monitor with respect to monitoring conditions at the Hinds County Jail and the other facilities. There are various court orders in place that predate everyone on this board for the most part. They stem from some initial state action, Gates versus Collier, that was done in the 1970s, and some additional action that was done against the county in the 1990s. Mr. Welch has certain obligations as appointed by the court, and the county pays him. I would like to ask that we pay his outstanding invoices, and I think there are 3 of those, or 3 months of invoices, that total approximately between $7,500 and $8,000. I'm also pleased to report that Mr. Welch met with Mr. Simon and I last week for about an hour and a half. We had a very productive meeting, and he would like an opportunity to address the board at the appropriate time going forward based on his observations, concerns, and ideas about how we can work through the conditions at the jail and improve the system. And again, it was a very productive meeting. So that's the first matter I would like motion to approve paying Mr. Welch's outstanding invoices.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
Thank you. The second matter I have is an update. We had previously discussed with the board that there may be duplication of services between various legal counsel for the county. We have now compiled a chart of who the county has hired over the years for various matters, including their rates of pay, and we will distribute that this week so that the board can look at this and then take any appropriate action it deems necessary at the first meeting in December. And again, piggybacking on you, Supervisor Calhoun, that's a way for looking for savings and elimination of any duplication of services. And we'll provide that via separate memo along with that chart so the board can decide how it wants to proceed. The third item I have to address with the board this morning is our meetings with the monitor team, and we will ask to do that in executive session because the monitor team was appointed pursuant to the grand jury report, and in fact has commented on several matters that pertain to pending litigation or anticipated litigation with respect to the jail. So we'll take that up in executive session.
Okay. Is that it?
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll now continue. We'll go to, Joey, was that all for you?
That was it.
Okay. We'll now go to Mr. Carl Felix, the Public Works Director.
Good morning, Mr. President and other board members. The first item I have is approval of the Public Works Department equipment and vehicle lease purchase.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Next item is request approval to advertise the Public Works Department's equipment and vehicle lease purchase in the Jackson Advocate and the Clarion Ledger. All equipment and vehicles that are available on the state contract list will be purchased by lease purchase through state contract pricing.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Approval of Regions Bank 1.944% interest rate, which is the lowest interest rate received for the Public Works Department equipment and vehicle lease purchase.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Did you negotiate that, Brent?
We
Just, you don't have to.
Continue, please.
request approval of the contract between Hinds County and IMS Engineers for the construction engineering and inspection, CE&I, for the Gary Road Safe Route to School Sidewalk Project contingent on MDOT approval. The contract total is $6,919.09. This project is funded through MDOT Safe Routes to School grant with no match.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Last item is approval for the Public Works Department to demolish the structure duplex at 926 and 928 Maple Street. The property is owned by Hinds County.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second? I'll second it. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Supervisor Greer.
This is something I think we need to look at doing countywide. I think we've had some discussions amongst the board. structures that need to be taken down as part of crime prevention tool as much as aesthetics. So, thank you.
Okay, Supervisor McQuarrie.
Also, in regards to this, there was a building approved for destruction on Terry Road, District 5, when I was permitting zoning director. I don't think it's been removed yet. Can you review that for me, or I can get you the address in a minute for we.
Was that Hinds County property, or we'll look into it?
Okay, I think that the board attorney's office is looking into a procedure and a policy that we can, I think we all have houses in our districts that we need to help the cities with and the municipalities as it relates to destroying some of these abandoned houses. It is blighted in those blighted areas, and it has a lot to do with the crime surrounding those particular areas. So as soon as you can get that, Peter, we need that. Okay, continue on. Oh, excuse me. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Is that it? All right, we'll now go back to the office of the Chancellor Clerk.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning.
Members of the board. We're going to pass over item number 1. We have no 16-section leases for your approval this morning. Item number 2, we request approval of orders canceling tax sale, authorizing refund reassessment changes to the assessment roll, and surrendered tax for October 2013.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Also, we don't have any additions or deletions for the supplemental roll this morning, so we'll pass over item 3. We request approval for the approval of the bid for newspaper publication for legal notices of the Board of Supervisors. Last week, we opened bids for this. The Clarion Ledger was 12 cents per word for the first publication, 10 cents per word for the second, and 10 cents per word for the third, and $5 for proof of publication. The Jackson Advocate was 5 cents per word for the first publication, and no cost for second, third publication or proof of publication. So we request that you approve the best bid from Jackson Advocate.
What's the pleasure of the board? Also move. Is there a second? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
Thank you very much. We have minute insertions as listed on your agenda. No action is required on your part.
Thank you very much. We'll now go back to the office of the board attorney, and for that, would like to need a motion to consider going into executive session. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Now we need a motion to go into executive session. I so move that we do for the purpose of?
We have 2 matters this morning. One would be personnel matters that are on the agenda, both by President Graham and by Supervisor Calhoun. Those matters are exempt from open meetings as they pertain to employees' rights and conditions of employment. The second would be to follow up on various matters pertaining to the Hinds County Jail, including the monitor team and housing of inmates and other matters. Those would be exempt in this case because they pertain to ongoing litigation, litigation strategy, and potential future litigation. Again, I don't think we can really take any action, but we're really entering executive session for discussion purposes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. We'll now go into executive session. Executive session at?
Mr. President.
Yes.
Let me go back on the record. Our wonderful Chancellor Clerk, Ms. Eddie Jean Carter, has corrected me. We also have Byron Clinton corridor on there, which is exempt due to the acquisition of property and for continuing a project that has been in the works and continues to be in the works, and for negotiation purposes with respect to the acquisition of property. Thank you,
Okay.
Mrs. Carter.
We'll now go into executive session at 10:22.
There was a motion second and a unanimous vote to pay the moving costs related to one parcel, and we will provide that so they can be recorded in the minutes. The cost for, the moving costs for that particular parcel were less than $4,000. The second matter addressed was the housing of inmates from Hinds County and other counties. And the board discussed various options with respect to assessing the cost that the board is paying for those housing costs versus temporary housing, and directed further information be supplied to the board so it can make the appropriate cost analysis. The third matter was a personnel matter. No action was taken.
On December 2nd, there will be the next special meeting of the Board of Supervisors. December 12th will be a scheduled work session. December 16th, special meeting. Any additional special recess or other meetings may be held by posting minute entries or by other means of law. We now entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and second. All in favor say aye. The meeting stands adjourned.